Hello, welcome back to the Fruit of Grisaia. Spotting us, Sachi stops brushing the sidewalk in front of the gate and approaches with a beaming smile on her face. As for Michiru, after returning from the restroom with a profoundly relieved expression, she hopped right back onto my back for the walk home. What on earth are you doing up at this hour?
何ってお掃除ですよ。
So it would seem, but isn't it a little late for that?
いつ誰が帰ってきてもいいようになるべく遅くまで働いているんです。特に今日は。
っていうかサチ、私を見て驚かないの？
はい。でも私はみちる様が亡くなったなんて信じていませんでしたし、絶対に戻ってくるって思っていましたから。それよりも他の皆さんに見つからないようにしてくださいね。みちる様どころか風見さんまで消えてしまったものだから、みんな大騒ぎなんですから。
Not entirely surprising, I suppose. How do things stand currently?
学園長さんが問題ないわよ、風見くんなんだからっておっしゃってました。私は納得しましたけど、榊さんや天音さんはずっと落ち着きがなくて、マキちゃんはシャドウ影踏みの練習で気を紛らわせていました。
It really hurt to see Michiru do that, but it was for the best. It's what she wanted to do. Sorry for the trouble. I'll have to explain everything to you all later. Guess I'd better brace myself for a slap or 3.
そうですね。ささ、お疲れでしょうからお風呂へどうぞ。ちゃんとお掃除してありますからね。
Appreciate it. You really are a maid among maids, Sachi. Still carrying Michiru, I turn to enter the premises, but before I can take a step, the girl shifts her position on my back and speaks.
サチ、ありがとう。私のこと待っててくれて。
いいえ、みちる様こそ戻ってきてくれてありがとう。
ただいま帰ったわよ。
おかえりなさいませ、みちる様。
あんたはもう寝ていいわよ。明日も早いんでしょ？
そうですね。では失礼させていただきます。
Are you crying?
うん。
I see. Making no further comment, I carry Michiru to the bathroom. You're filthy. I'll bring a change of clothes so you focus on getting that dirt off for now. Everything else can wait until after.
うん。
What's wrong? Being alone too scared?
うん、大丈夫。だってユージは絶対に迎えに来てくれるはずだもん。
The girl smiles a little awkwardly as she speaks. I give her a quick pat on the head, then make my way down to her room to obtain a fresh change of clothes. That said, I don't know where anything is in here. These are the ones she's always wearing. Well, that works. Already out of the bath? That was fast. I brought you a change of clothes.
うん。
Her body wrapped up in a towel, I left in the changing room. Michiru shuffles around shyly.
ねえ、ユージもお風呂入りなよ。
Not right now. I need to arrange for a medical checkup and...
いいから。だってユージだって同じ時間ずっと外にいたんでしょ？
That's right. Oh, do I smell? Sorry.
そうじゃないけど、一休みしてってこと。
At Michiru's insistence, I consent to bathe from the perspective of a freshly washed woman. I must seem exceptionally unsanitary at the moment. Might have been a little inconsiderate on my part. It's not the time for a leisure, so I opt for a quick shower. But just as I'm finishing up, Michiru comes in as well. Hello there. Felt like taking a bath in your clothes, or maybe you forgot something?
そうじゃなくて、ユージにまた会えたことが嬉しくてだから。
I understand that, but couldn't you wait 5 minutes for me to come out of the shower?
いろいろなお礼も含めて背中を流してあげようかなって。
You're a real handful. Alright, if you're doing this, do it quickly.
うん。
Michiru rubs a bar of soap against a washcloth, slowly and carefully working up a nice lather.
失礼します。
The girl proceeds to wash every nook and cranny of my back. Nice gesture, but after 5 straight minutes of scrubbing, it starts to feel like she's overdoing it a little. Alright, that's good enough.
ゴシゴシゴシゴシ。
I told you that's good enough. Cut it out already.
やだ。やっぱり離れたくない。
Finally abandoning her washcloth, Michiru leans against my back and wraps her arms around me. Must have been pretty lonely down there.
うん。
I'm not going anywhere, Michiru.
わかってる。わかってるけど。ねえ、ごっこじゃないキスして。
I turn around and take Michiru by the wrist and draw her to me.
ユージして。
Instead of answering, I press my lips to hers. Well, this sort of thing isn't too bad every once in a while. I can't stand people who decide they've saved someone with a little kindness. Human beings exist within their own private bubble of solitude. Our pain and sadness can't be cured by gentle words. Offering gestures of sympathy can make you feel good about yourself, but for the recipient, it's meaningless at best. People don't need a crutch or a savior. They need to overcome their own suffering or find the strength to accept it. And when someone needs help getting to that point, I'm willing to lend a hand. Of course, that doesn't mean I go around offering my support to every sad sack I run into on the street. I'm not some hypocrite politician or cult leader. So what distinguishes the people I willingly assist from those I don't? Not sure if there's any clear criteria, really, other than whim. Sometimes I just feel like it.
ユージ大好き。
Even when it comes to the young lady currently sleeping at my side, thoroughly pondering the reason why I helped her doesn't produce a convincing answer. But that's just the way human beings are. No matter how logically you analyze our motives, no matter how thoroughly you investigate the context of our actions, every once in a while you'll end up running smack dab into the incomprehensible. I can't comment on how meaningful this particular incident may or may not be, but I'm not unhappy with the way things turned out. In any case, the tricky part comes next. The only thing I still want from her is her to let her hair down.
恥ずかしながら松島みちる帰ってまいりました。ゾンビだゾンビどこゾンビパウダーどこあ、なんだチルチルじゃん。おかえりただいま。いやただいまじゃなくて、そしておかえりじゃなくて、だってちょっと榊さん
何？朝から騒がしい。
やあただいま。なぜどうしてもうあまねいいじゃないのよさ。だってチルチル帰ってきたのよ。どの面下げてか知らないけど帰ってきたのよ。どの面
These ones, I pinch Michiru's face and stretch her cheeks out to both sides.
コロツルレーズ。ああその面な。いいじゃん割に。その面ならいける。ちょっと待って。なんで復活した？あまねっては意外にめんどくせえな。帰ってきたからいいじゃんって言ってるのよさ。ねえチルチル。だって本物だよね。
Akita troughs over and begins poking at Michiru's chest like a housewife prodding at a shrink-wrapped piece of produce.
本物よ。当たり前でしょ。だよね。だったらいいじゃん。だったらすごくいいじゃん。悪くないじゃん。よかったのよさ。よかったマキナ。ごめんね。もうどこにも行かないよ。約束してくれる？約束な。約束できるよ。
Michiru and Makino link their little fingers together. Watching as they swear their oath, Amane heaves a heavy sigh of certainty.
わかったわよ。確かに奇跡の復活で帰ってきた。それは良かった。これ以上喜ばしいことはない。だからもういいわよ。無理やりに納得するわよ。でも私にも約束しなさい。どんな約束？それはもちろん、もう絶対に二度と死んだりしないって。もう死なない。今度死んだりしたらぶっ殺すからね。今度死んだらぶっ殺される。そうだね。それでいいね。もうどっと疲れたわよ。さっちゃんはこのこと知ってるの？
Yeah, she was the first one to know. We ran into her on the way back.
だったら教えてくれればいいのに。それであの子なんて言ってた？二人のこと見てさぞ驚いたんじゃないの？ただ帰りなさいって。そっか。さっちゃんらしいといえばさっちゃんらしいか。松島さん、6枚の。
Same as it ever was. You better give them all proper apologies later.
には悪いことしたわね。
And so Michiru returned to her friends and her school. She was completely free of her dependence on medication and that bizarre tsundere act. She spends the rest of her school days as a normal girl, 6 pennants hanging on the wall of her room. A little too neat a conclusion, unfortunately. Honestly, Michiru's just managed to finally face up to one of her multiple problems, nothing more.
ねえ、ユージ、これって高校じゃないよね。
Yeah, that's right. This is a fully legitimate date.
ああ、なんで走るの？しかも5キロも。
Because you told me to plan the date, and I decided on a little short distance sprinting. Listen, the act of running isn't just...
ああ、もういい。いいです。わかりました。ねえ、そうだね。私がね、言ったからだよね。うん、納得納得。
Alright, job concluded. Michiru and I arrive at a certain high spot overlooking the sea, a place that holds many memories for us.
はあ、ねえ、最近私はずっと私でいられてる？
Yeah, you haven't turned into anyone else since you came back. Something to celebrate, right? For some reason, it doesn't look like she's entirely convinced of that.
そうなんだけど、でもあの子はそれでいいのかな。
What do you mean?
だってあの子は私の中にまだ存在してる。決して消えたわけじゃない。彼女はここでまだちゃんと生きてる。それなのに出てこないなんて。それで本当にこれっきりでいいのかな。
I reach out and wipe the sweat from Michiru's cheeks with a hand towel. We went over this before I buried you. I told the girl straight out that if you regained the courage to live, she probably wouldn't have the chance to come out again. And she told me that was alright with her. She understands that body belongs to you. There's nothing to feel guilty about.
もしかしたら全部私の幻覚だったのかもしれないけど、あの箱の中であの子とお話をその時に心残りがあるって言ってた。それすごく気になるよ。ねえユージ、直接彼女にそれを聞いてみてくれないかな。
Michiru, my friend, you've only just managed to regain control of yourself. Why go out of your way to...
分かってる。分かってるけど、私だけ幸せになんてなれないよ。彼女のこと最初は嫌いだったけど、本当に私のために行動してくれただけだってことが分かったから。それにこの心臓は彼女からもらったものでしょ。そのおかげでこうしてユージといられるんだし。
A bead of sweat dangling from the tip of her nose. Michiru stares up at me with a serious expression on her face. It takes an effort to keep a wry smile off my face. Even without the suitor's tsundere act, this girl's still a real handful. But compared to forcing herself to act out some character, I suppose it's nice to see her honestly expressing her feelings. Alright, if you insist, I'll try calling the girl out. I do have a method in mind.
方法って？
Same one I used with your medicine. In other words, just a little manipulation of your assumptions.
ニュー？
I set up a simple magic show in Michiru's room. The trick I have in mind, like most magic, amounts to a little more than a bit of psychological misdirection. It's physically impossible to produce a coin from nothingness, and of course, you can't abruptly make one disappear either. Such illusions are made possible by manipulating your assumptions. A visual distraction leaves you convinced that the magician's carrying nothing, where in fact he's just moving something around where you can't see it. Everyone knows the basic idea, but it's surprisingly hard to overcome our mind's tendency to fill in the gaps and jump to conclusions. Deliberately planning the wrong idea in someone's head isn't as difficult as it might sound. As Michiru said, I don't think the girl's vanished. She's keeping to herself, that's all. I can't exactly reach in and grab her, so I'll have to trick her out. The only prop is a full-length dressing mirror I had Sachi fetch for us. Didn't take long at all, so I'm guessing she borrowed it from someone's room. That's right, this is all we need to pull this off. Alright then, Michiru, start looking at yourself in the mirror. Keep staring into your own pupils, and don't even think about blinking. Understood? Now stay like this for a few hours. Keep it up and she'll come out eventually. I'm sure of it.
何時間かってどれぐらい？そんなに大変なの？
You're the one who wanted to make this happen. Can't even put in a little effort? Well, no skin off my nose if you want to quit.
やる。頑張るもん。しんどい。
Okay, do it quietly. Honestly, I don't have a clue whether staring into her own eyes is actually going to wake up the other girl. That's not really the point of this little exercise, though. By physically and mentally wearing Michiru out, I'm hoping to get her to a drowsy, half-conscious state, where it'll be easier for her alternate self to appear. My words should do the rest. Stay focused, Michiru. She'll come out any minute now. Just a matter of time. I'm not really convinced of that, but I keep up a constant chorus of firm declarations to the contrary. In other words, I'm forcing the idea that she's definitely going to wake up in Michiru's mind. Into Michiru's mind. Hopefully my confident attitude will eventually lead her to the surface. All of a sudden, something changes in Michiru's face. It's a truly subtle transformation, but the cast of her eyes seems slightly different. There you are. Finally woke up, eh? We're close enough now that just talking like it's a done deal should finish things up. Michiru's unlocked the door, and now I've pushed it open. The girl steps blinking into the light.
私はもういいから気にしないで。
Bingo. Knew I could pull this off. Thought that was you. I'm happy to see you again.
私は嬉しくないよ。会いたくなかった。私はこのまま消えようとしてたのに。この子の人生にもう私は必要ないんだから。
Now you're talking just the way Michiru was before. Aren't you supposed to have a little more sense than her?
でももう私は出てきちゃいけないのに。
Michiru called you here of her own free will. There's nothing wrong with accepting that. Why hold back?
そんなこと言われても。
Alright then. I'll give you a simple question. What are your regrets?
心残り。
My regrets. Deep inside Michiru, nestled inside her heart, I sink into thought. Why did it turn out like this? Why do I exist inside her? Oh. On the way back from school, I was badly hurt in some kind of traffic accident. Until then, I'd lived a very normal life, I think. Normal? I guess so? My grades were pretty decent. Although I wasn't an honor student, I did fight with my parents sometimes. Even ran away from home for a day or two every once in a while. Apparently I used to say some mysterious things when I was a little kid, but as I grew up, that stopped happening. There was someone I liked, although I'm not sure if it was a love or just a crush. I never expressed those feelings. Didn't really feel the need to. Just watching him from a distance made me happy enough. Then, out of nowhere, that accident brought it all to an end. I don't know the details myself. I was just walking home after school one day when everything went black. When I came to, I was in the hospital. The sharp smell of antiseptic solution and an off-white ceiling greeted me. My mind was sluggish and fuzzy, but I was awake. Mom? What was Mom doing here? What happened to me? My ears weren't quite working properly. I couldn't hear her voice that clearly. I wanted to ask all sorts of questions, but my voice didn't want to cooperate. Not just that, I couldn't move my body. What was going on? It almost felt like I'd been locked up inside a cramped little box. The doctor hurried into the room at the sound of Mom's voice, shone a pen light in my eyes for a while, then shook his head in silence. When she saw that, Mom started to cry. I didn't understand why she was sobbing so bitterly. I mean, I was perfectly conscious, so I thought I'd recover and be back to my normal life soon enough. But reality was very different from what I had imagined. Day after day, Mom sat at my bedside and squeezed my hand. Weeks rolled past, but there wasn't any sign I'd be able to go home anytime soon. Yeah, I thought so too. I felt fine, really. Good enough to leave the hospital right away. But even though I was really all clear-headed, I still couldn't manage to move even the tip of my tongue. I didn't understand that at all. My mouth was numb and immobile, my throat felt dry sometimes, but I couldn't do anything about it. I wanted to tell Mom how I felt. If I couldn't speak, even moaning would be enough. But my body was completely switched off, quiet and still as a deserted school building in the middle of the night. My classmates didn't come to visit. No, that's not entirely true. A few days after the accident, a group of girls I'd been friendly with did show up once. But when they got a look at me lying there in my bed, they grimaced. They weren't too obvious about it in front of Mom, but I noticed a subtle change in their attitude. They kept their distance for the whole visit, and it wasn't long before they left. As they walked away, I could see one of them mouthing the words, "Hope I never end up like that." After my classmates left, Mom gently stroked my head, as if to reassure me that everything would be alright. I had no way of knowing what had happened to my body or the details of my condition, but from what the girls had said, I could tell it must have been pretty bad. I guess Dad was busy with work, since he only came to visit occasionally. Even so, I was always happy when he did show up. But when Dad looked at me, he always had a really scary look on his face. His eyes were empty, completely emotionless. He looked down at me with the face of a man debating whether to throw away an old can of herbicide from the back of his shed.
どうだ何か変わりはあるか
いいえ、昨日と同じよ。ちゃんと呼吸。
どうせ明日も同じなんだここに来ても意味ないな
そんなこと言わないでください。この子もあなたが
喜んでいる
Dad peered down, studying my face. I really was glad to see him, but I didn't have any way of expressing that happiness.
さあどうだかな俺のことが見えてるのかすらわからん
I can see you just fine. I can hear your voice.
昨日と同じだまるで時が止まったみたいだ
I loved Dad, but I was starting to think he hated me. Maybe he used to love me, but hated me because of what I'd become. Not that I even knew what I looked like anymore, honestly. Once a week, Mom would wash my body with a wet cloth. I always loved soaking in the bath, so it wasn't really satisfying by comparison. But since she was doing everything for me now, I didn't exactly have the right to complain. Not that I could have if I wanted to. What really impressed me was the soap she used. It was always lightly fruit-scented. Mom knew that I'd been secretly buying fruit soaps using my pocket money. She must have looked for them in my room and brought them to the hospital for me. My feelings about my parents began to change. Mom was nice, Dad was scary. One day they started quarreling over some trivial thing right next to me. It started when Mom said something about wanting to take family trips again. Dad got irritated and started shouting at her.
こいつがいる限りそんなことは無理だろうこんな体でどこに行けるって言うんだ
昔みたいに遊園地に行けたらいいじゃない。この子好きだったでしょ。
さあな泣いてたことしか覚えてないそれに車椅子で連れて行くのか
遊園地に車椅子で来ている人はたくさんいるでしょ。
だがこいつはもう意識がないんだいいかこの子は他の子供とは違うんだよもう一緒にどこかに行くことなんてできないんだ
No more trips, huh? I didn't know that, Dad.
そんなことまだわからないでしょ。お医者さん。
医者がどうしたもう死んでるようなものなんだいいか見てろ
Dad strode over to my bedside, then violently smacked my cheeks with the palms of his hands.
どうだ生きてるか生きてるなら返事しなさいパパだぞほらパパだぞ
やめてあなた
うるさいこいつには聞こえてやしないんだ何も分からずにずっとここで眠っているだけだずっと俺たちを縛り付けてるだけだ
そんな言い方やめて
うるさいとにかくもう変なこと言うのはよせ気分が悪い
Dad swung the door open violently and stalked out. I wanted to tell him he was wrong. I could see everything. I could hear just fine. But it didn't hurt when he slapped me, and I couldn't cry, even when my parents fought bitterly before my eyes.
ごめんね言いたかっただろうもうあんなことはさせないからね
Mom returned to my side and began to gently stroke my head.
パパはお仕事でイライラしてるだけよ大丈夫また3人でどこかに行こうね
Her tone of voice was tender, but even a child like me could understand those words were flimsy, makeshift lies. They didn't take me to the toilet, but I wasn't wearing a diaper. Apparently my body had changed past the need for such things. Instead, a mess of plastic tubes constantly popped things into and out of me. Sometimes a nurse would come and replace the tubing. It was agonizingly painful, like having my stomach cut open by a dull knife. But since I couldn't scream or even shed a tear, they never even knew. I could see that Mom was getting thinner with every passing day. It wasn't surprising. From dawn until dusk, she was at my side, talking to my motionless body, reading me books as if I were a baby again. The doctors stopped by frequently at first, but their visits grew rarer as the weeks stretched into months. Eventually, they stopped coming entirely. A nurse would stop by maybe once a week, mainly for politeness' sake. I began to understand that my life was essentially over. I'd come to the end of myself. I didn't want to trouble Mom anymore, but there wasn't anything I could do to change the situation. It sucks, I tried to say. Naturally, the words didn't leave my mouth. I'm miserable. I tried to cry, but the tears wouldn't come either. One night, after Mom had gone home, Dad showed up by himself. He stood next to my bed with a steely look on his face. I wanted to ask him what was wrong, but by now, I'd stopped even trying to speak. He reached out and put a hand on one of the machines that pumped oxygen or whatever into my body. It could be shut off easily and I quickly pressed a few buttons. It probably wouldn't take long for me to die. Dad looked down at me again, his harsh expression faltering. I could see unfathomably deep anguish in his eyes. I didn't have to think twice. Dad, you can turn that machine off. I'm sorry it ended up like this. I'm sorry for becoming such a burden to you. Was it my fault? I don't really think so, but the how and why no longer really matter, do they? I'm a millstone around your neck. That's just a fact. Millstone. Oh. So please, go ahead and kill me, Dad. There's nothing to forgive you for. This is what I want. Just kill me. But Dad just gave the machine a few light smacks, then turned on his heel and left the room. Why didn't you kill me? I don't want to keep making everyone suffer like this. Please come back. Please kill me. When Mom came in the next day, her eyes were red. She stroked my hair for a long time as a promise. Please, Mom, you can stop the machine. Just kill me. There's no point in keeping me alive, is there? Hurry up and end this. Mom leaned in to kiss my cheek, but lost her balance and fell to the floor. After nursing me day in and day out for months, the accumulated fatigue must have finally overwhelmed her. I heard the loud thump of her body striking something hard. It looked as though she'd fallen in an awkward way, but the area under the bed was below my field of vision. I was frantic with worry. Has she struck her head? I wanted to scream for help, but that was just as impossible. It was beyond frustrating. It was torture. Pleasant, warm sunlight streamed in through the open window, and a gentle breeze stirred the curtains. I could hear the voices of laughing children outside. It was a very peaceful day, the sort that slips easily by before you know it. And as the minutes ticked tranquilly past, Mom lay on the floor of my hospital room. I couldn't see what had happened to her, but she wasn't moving. This can't be happening. Somebody come. Please hurry. Please. Please. Picturing myself thrashing around in the bed, I tried desperately to squeeze a sound, any sound, out of my mouth, but it was useless. I sat there still as a stone. More than an hour later, Dad finally arrived.
どうしたんだお前大丈夫か
His face a mask of shock, Dad scrambled to my bedside and picked Mom up in his arms. Her face was wet with bright red blood.
転んだのか頭が切れてるじゃないかちょっと待ってよすぐに見てもらうからな
Dad carried Mom out of the room, but before he left, he turned over his shoulder and shot me an angry look, as if blaming me for what had happened. But you're wrong, Dad. This is your fault. I mean, none of this would have happened if you just killed me, would it? Following the accident, Dad took over the role of my caretaker. He spent the days working on his laptop, never making eye contact with me. But after less than a week of this, a doctor came into my hospital room and began discussing something with Dad.
ちょうど今、心臓を提供してくださる方を探しておりまして。はい。本当にいいんですね。
Dad was clearly distressed, but after brooding for several minutes, he nodded silently. Accepting a pen from the doctor, he slowly signed a number of documents. That night, Dad came right up to my side and watched my case for a long time.
すまないな。このことはママに言っていない。後でどう説明していいか見当もつく。あいつも俺ももう限界だ。このままじゃ俺たちが終わっちまう。
Dad didn't take my hand or stroke my head. If this was going to be the last time, I wanted him to touch me, even for a moment.
本当にすまない。もし聞こえてるなら何かしてくれ。喋るわけないよな。俺何を言ってるんだ。バカな。
Dad stayed by my side until morning. I was really happy. But in the end, he never held my hand. The next day, an unfamiliar doctor came to my room. He gave me a number of injections, stripped me naked, and carefully inspected my body. Dad stood silently by and watched. Mom wasn't there. At the end, Dad looked down at me and said something, but I couldn't make out the words. I was loaded onto a stretcher and carried to an operating room. My heart was going to be taken out of my body to save someone else. It'd be a lie to say I had no regrets, but that didn't sound so terrible. A lot more appealing than lying around helplessly and making Mom and Dad miserable, at least. No matter how badly I wanted to move, my body was still. No matter how much I wanted to speak, I couldn't talk to anyone. I didn't want to exist like that.
それでは手術を開始します。
That day, in an operating room, I think I died once. I see. So then your heart was transplanted into Michiru's body.
そうでもまさかあんなにはっきりと意識まで移るとは思わなかった。だから驚いた。私はいつも暗闇の世界にいた。だけどミチルに嫌なことが起こるとステージにスポットライトが当たるように私に光が差すの。その光を手繰り寄せると私は彼女の体を動かせることが分かった。彼女の体を動かせると知った時、正直これはしてはいけないことだって思った。だってこれは彼女の体だから。もしそれが可能だとしても知らないふりをしてずっと暗闇で眠っていなければいけないんだって。
I don't know if this can actually happen.
長い間ずっとベッドで動けなかった私にとって、指を動かす、声を出す、視線をどこかに向けるという行為は快感とも言えるものだった。体を自由に動かすことがこんなにも素晴らしいことだなんてわからなかったと思う。
Not surprising that you'd feel that way, but the body you were moving wasn't actually yours. Someone upstairs has a nasty sense of humor.
ミチルは子供の頃に悲しいことがあってから心を閉ざしているみたいだった。だから私は何か手伝えないかなって思って、それで彼女が辛い時は代わりに表に出ていろいろなことをした。彼女の人生がうまくいくようにって必死で頑張った。でも正直に言えば単純に動けることが嬉しかっただけかもしれない。本当にミチルのことを思えばあんなことをしちゃいけなかったのよ。大きなお世話だった。余計に彼女を傷つけて悩ませてしまっていたものね。
Not intentionally. And you did everything you could to ease that pain. Michiru's suffering hurt you too.
そうよ、言ったでしょ。私は悪者なんかじゃないのよ。純粋にミチルを助けたかっただけ。
Well, she wants to return the favor. So let's talk about these regrets of yours. By which I mean, what do you want to do?
心残り。何でも願いが叶うとしたら、ママとパパに会いたいかな。
Your parents, eh?
うん。何か一つだけって言うなら、ママとパパ。それで、会ってどうするわけじゃないけど、顔が見たい。
I see. That's your wish, is it?
でも、そんなの無理に決まってる。私の住んでいた場所は日本じゃない。ここかそれにこの姿であったとしても、私だってわからないでしょ。
I reach out and squeeze the girl's hand tightly. I can't return you to your original form, but I can take you to your parents, if that's what you want. I'll help make it happen. After all, that's what Michiru wants as well.
私が住んでいたのは日本じゃないんだよ。
What about it? Is that supposed to be a problem? The only issue I see here is your waffle. We don't have to do this if you don't want to, alright? You might regret it later, but it's your choice to make. So, what'll it be?
どうする？
You've already made up your mind, haven't you? And you know you have. I'll give you 2 seconds to answer. This is your only chance. Ready?
え？行く。
I hadn't even started counting, but whatever.
あ、ユージ君、私をママとパパのところに連れて行って。顔が見たい。それだけでいいから。
Understood. Stand by here for 5 minutes.
ちょっと待って。だって5分ってどうするの？行っちゃった。でも無理だよね。だって私。風見くんってば何を考えているのかしら。私だけならともかくハルデラさんまで巻き込むなんて。あなたはそうよ、話は聞きました。ああ、もうあんな言い方されたら私が断れないこと知ってて、なんてやつなのかしら。まさかあの弱みをついてくるなんて絶対に許さない。どういうことでしょう？ああ、ごめんなさい。いいから出発の準備をしなさい。と言っても、靴だけ履き替えればいいわよ。パスポートも着替えも必要ないわ。観光じゃないならツアーガイドも必要ないでしょ。でも遊園地にも行きたいなら今回は我慢してね。そこまで楽しめるプランは組めないわ。ちょっと他は出したけど校庭に着陸させることないでしょ。そこの子が今が先々なのに。
Sorry to keep you waiting. Good thing we happen to have someone flying around nearby. How'd I do? Was that 5 minutes? With a wink at Chizuru, I dragged Michiru out of the room.
ちょっと飾りが帰ってきたら分かってるでしょうね。
Yeah, I'll take responsibility where I can at least. We'll go 50-50 on the rest.
ねえ、これはどういうこと？校庭に飛行機が来るなんて。
It's alright. We're going to see your parents right now.
今から？
Yes, right now. Once the decision is made, why put off taking action? You agreed to yourself, remember?
でも
Before the girl can continue her sputtering objections, I cover her eyes with my hands. Just trust me, alright?
うん。
America's not so far, it's all that. Thinking back once we're there, it'll feel like we only left 3 seconds ago. Allow me to demonstrate. 3, 2, 1. Whoa, okay.
着いた。
Neat. I'll see this next time. If we just flew all the way to America. Well then, bye.